One point in time, you went out with orchestras, and that was quite an undertaking.
Oh, that wasn't until the 90s.
Right.
92, yeah. Then we did, we were, our late manager, Tom Hewlett, he really wanted to see us with an orchestra because of our first album, Days of Future Past, that was with the orchestra, even though we never ever played with an orchestra on that album. We just played, we did our bits and they recorded their bits. But he wanted to see it, and there's a promoter called Barry Fay who controlled Red Rocks in Colorado, and he knew somebody in the Colorado Symphony, and they took the parts of Days of Future Past and used that and built it around Days of Future Past. I think it was the 25th anniversary of Days of Future Past, so it would be autumn '92, and Days of Future Past came out in the autumn of '67. It's a 25-year thing.
And not a better place to play than Red Rocks.
Oh, it's fantastic. Magical.
Yeah.
Yeah, magical. In fact, I've still got a wonderful pair of jeans that got those red stains at that thing, and I cannot get them out. I remember it. I wore them to it. You know, those Red Rocks, they stain.
They really do.
Yeah.
So you took a giant plane and you put an 80-piece orchestra on it, and you guys got on it? Is that how it worked?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
Then I thought, great, one off, fantastic. You know, we pulled it off again. And but then we started getting calls from orchestra directors around the world and asking us if we could come to their town and do this show. And we said to Tom Hewlett, we could never do it. And he said, no, you can. And Tom did every gig with Elvis. Tom was one of the old school guys, and when Elvis came back in '72, he did every stage show that Elvis ever did. And he said, I'll tell you this, he said, what Elvis did was just hire classical musicians. He used to hire like 14, 20 classical musicians every gig, every night, every place that he played, pickups. And he said, and they played and they were brilliant. And he said he carried his own band, of course, but for the kind of stringy bits, he had that, string and brass bits. So he said, why don't you just pick up an orchestra in every place? And so we thought, well, maybe it'll work. So we built our own stage, microphones were ours, seats were ours, the parts were ours. It's just that the orchestra, the musicians just had to play as written on the parts, and it would work. And it did work. It was wonderful.
You carried a conductor? Is that what you were doing?
We had a conductor and then a guy who we used to call the tour Nazi that would say, because orchestra is a bit like school, you know, like, well, he's got this and he's got a drink and I want this and everything. And that goes on all day, a lot of this. And just like rock musicians, but rock musicians get resigned to it. But so we had a guy, it's a big bully, we've still got him, we used him in London, and he takes people aback. Sit down, shut up, you know, we're doing this at that time, you're going there now, not you, you know, that's a you, and that's it, and it was the best guy we ever employed. A couple of people told him to. And left. No, I probably would have done it as well.
Those were the timpani players, I'm sure. You know.
But most of them most of the orchestras are great. You know, this is the greatest country in the world that has it. Not like poor old England, which has nothing, no kind of losing its culture. We're very fortunate here to have a professional quality orchestra in most towns. I always thought they were subsidised, but I think they are subsidised. But
well,
there's
by
one
the public,
look at the one here.
Sure. Cleveland Orchestra is tremendous.
Put it up against anybody, wouldn't you? It's the same all over America. It's fantastic. Unbelievable. So you can have an orchestra in every town. And they will do it. They'll come along. And now, once they saw Red Rocks, hey, I'm playing with the Moodies. And right, they were into it.
Did you just do like one long rehearsal during the afternoon to do the whole show, or no?
Never rehearsed with them at all. We started off on the tours, the orchestra tours, rehearsing with them, but then nobody could hear anything because we're so loud and our drummers were so... So in the end, and also rehearsing with them, they'd be looking at us. They'd be like, oh, look, there's, you know, Justin, John, and it would be distracting for them. So what we do is they rehearse all of their parts in the afternoon, and then we put it together in the evening. And like I say, they play as written. The sound is ours, so we control that. They've just got to play what's on that sheet, and it'll work.
That had to be a little nerve-wracking the first few shows, though, right? So you got your confidence, you know?
Yeah, to know that it works. But the thing is, we have pieces from Days of Future Past that the orchestra has hits in its own right, recognizable pieces of music. That's why it works for us and not maybe not a lot of other lot of other bands, because you can't use an orchestra as a backing strings. You know, it's a waste of time. You may as well have a keyboard.
Well, you had dedicated parts for it, which I'm sure made it work even better.
So that they feature it in their own right in certain songs. We shut up and let them get on with it, and it's dramatic and it keeps the dynamic going.
Is that something you're planning on doing in the future, using some more with the orchestra?
Well, yes, I think so, because some promoters really love it, and some towns really like it, and we did it just at the Albert Hall in London for 3 days. Again, with the London Festival Orchestra, which, by the way, is a name we made up. It's not that anybody's interested, but it sounds good though, doesn't it? The London Festival Orchestra.
Sounds very good. I bought it. I mean, I believed it.
Yes, and people say to me, I love that London. I've seen them a lot, that London Festival. Oh, yeah, great.
We're planning a trip around seeing them, actually. Yeah. What's in the future for the Moody Blues?
Who knows? Who knows, really? I don't know what's happening tomorrow, the Moody Blues. Well, I do know what's happening tomorrow, nothing.
I see.
But I don't know. We've got another tour coming up. We're touring the US again through end of September through till middle of November. And I think all of the boys want to keep touring. A couple of them say, I'm never going to do it again. After the British tour, which was hard, we did it on a bus, and there was a lot of promo and a lot of other stuff going on around it, and a lot of people to meet and things. And a couple of the guys said, that's it, I'm not doing it anymore. But I know when you put the gig list, they'll be up for it again.
Yeah, they're there.
Yeah.
What about as a solo artist? Are you looking to do it?
Well, I'm always doing things, and I'm just through contacts and people that I know. I go to Greece the week after next to do a live show with an opera singer called Mario Frangoulis, who's Greek but sings in Italian. He's got a beautiful voice, and he's done Nights, and he did a great version of it, and I sing a bit on it too, and he's asked me to come and be part of his show in Salonika, some old ruins. It's quite apt, you know. So in Salonika,
tough trip.
Some old relics.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that for like 3 days. It's his kind of video. It's his Red Rocks.
Well, I don't think we can let you leave without doing Nights.
Oh, okay.
So,
I got lots of stuff to do. We didn't get.
Well, we can play on. Play on.
I don't know what else. What did we do? Stuff we did last night. Get this guitar.
It doesn't have to be the next song, but you know, it's.
No, okay.
So you can tune guitars. See, you could.
You know, that's the first thing I learned how to do. People say, I got this guitar, but it never sounds right. And I say, well, it's not tuned up. You tune it up right, it'll sound right. You know, even if you're not a great player, it'll sound right. Hang on a second. This was a solo song for me as well, and I know some people like it. It's difficult when you put a capo on like this. So you have to.
Richie Havens just used his thumb, didn't he?
Yeah.
that was his capo, you know.
I never saw anybody play like him. Yeah, he played like that and make great big marks across the guitar.